This could redefine the Chicago Bears this season. And this episode of Geek on the Mic starts right now.
Cali to Chi-Town, his Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Geek on the Mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Geek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, happy Victory Monday to every single one of you guys. I hope you guys are in a great mood just like myself on today's episode of Geek on the Mic. The Chicago Bears got their first win of the season over the Dallas Cowboys by a score of 31-14, where everyone talking about defense, offense, special teams won in dominating fashion. It was a beautiful game for the Chicago Bears. It's Ben Johnson's first career win as the Chicago Bears head coach. He was amped up in the locker room. Definitely love to see that energy in the locker room and all the players, just really gravitate towards his leadership. But Bears fans, as promised, before we go any further on today's episode of Geek on the Mic, after every single Chicago Bears win, it's time to throw your claws up.
In your mom, get to the back.
Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. NFC North, we the hardest in our section. When you hear that bear down, you better get the stepping. Light it up with us, you gon' think we use them hit sticks. Feel like Jalen Johnson take this beat for a pick six. Cali to Chi-Town, his Bears on the flight. Let me go tune in to Geek on the Mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the likes. Matt Forte, Walter Payton. They sweat me like I'm Tez, cause I'm all pro in the making. So tell me why they hating. We about to take over, they gon' feel what I'm saying. We really back and we ripped off the script. Feeling like Hester when I pop off these kicks. They just mad they ain't pop off like this. We are the Bears and you know what it is. Oh yeah, Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up. Bears fans, throw your claws up. Midway monsters, yeah, we all up. Bear down, that's for all us. Let me see you do your thing, throw your claws up.
All right, Bears fans, as always, I hope you guys enjoy the Claws Up Chicago Bears anthem. After every single Chicago Bears win, my promise to you guys that not only will I play it on the live stream, if you guys are joining my live streams for live play-by-play for the Chicago Bears games, I also post it here on every single Geek on the Mic video prior to a Chicago Bears win. So Bears fans, this was to me a redefining moment in the Chicago Bears season. And I say that for this simple reason. The Chicago Bears during the first 2 weeks looked like they were just really dead in the water. Not only did you implode on yourself in the fourth quarter, at least the second half against the Minnesota Vikings, and let JJ McCarthy come back on you where you lost that football game on Monday Night Football, but then you go to Detroit and get absolutely blown out where the defense gave up 52 points. But the Chicago Bears regathered themselves. Ben Johnson regathered the troops, and really on all three phases, and this even includes the coaching as well, the Chicago Bears looked absolutely exceptional against the Dallas Cowboys in a must-win game. Now the Chicago Bears are sitting at a 1-2 record. Now they head to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders, which to me is another very winnable game. But I want to talk a little bit more about some of the top performers in this win over the Dallas Cowboys. But I do want to share something funny with you guys on today's episode of Geek on the Mic. Prior to the start of the game, basically the television crew were, really focusing on Matt Eberflus, rightfully so. He was the head coach of the Chicago Bears. I think that's why this matchup meant so much, not only to Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, the Chicago Bears organization, but also the Chicago Bears fan base as well. There was no way in hell that we would be able to survive as a fan base if Matt Eberflus came into Chicago and absolutely dominated Caleb Williams as the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. But prior to the game, this is what Matt Eberflus had to say on the Chicago Bears. I have a lot of knowledge about this team. I know their strengths, their weaknesses. I know how to cover them. Why that is so funny, Bears fans, is because Caleb Williams absolutely had a day, and that's one of the top performers in this win over the Dallas Cowboys. You're talking about 19 for 28, 298 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and an 142.6 passer rating. Chicago Bears fans, Caleb Williams looked absolutely locked in, and he was doing it in many different ways and hitting many different targets. He hit Rome Odunze on a touchdown throw. He hit Luther Burden on his first touchdown of the season on an awesome flea flicker play called by Ben Johnson. He hit Cole Kmet, finally getting him involved. He was able to hit DJ Moore, getting him involved. He even hit Colston Loveland as well on a nice 31-yard throw as well. So Caleb Williams was definitely dialed in. Definitely one of the better games I've seen him play as a Chicago Bears quarterback. Of course, he is really locked in terms of, the big explosive plays. And that's something I want to talk about later on today's episode of Keek on the Mic. And I know there's going to be a lot of people out there kind of hating on Caleb Williams after this win over the Cowboys because they're like, well, he did play one of the worst defenses in the NFL. That is not Caleb Williams' problem. And the reason why I have a problem with people saying that is because, one, Caleb Williams did his job then. If Caleb Williams were to go out there and struggle against the worst defense in the NFL, in the Dallas Cowboys, and obviously with Matt Eberflus coming back as the DC of the Cowboys, then you guys would be talking shit about Caleb Williams, about how bad he struggled against one of the worst defenses in the National Football League. So let's just enjoy this moment as Bears fans. Once again, Caleb Williams took another amazing step in his development with Ben Johnson as his head coach / offensive play caller. And it was just a really good game for quarterback Caleb Williams. I do want to talk about a couple of different things. Over the last 3 weeks for Caleb Williams, he now has 7 touchdown passes this season, which is tied first among quarterbacks. He's tied with Aaron Rodgers, and that's obviously pending what Lamar Jackson and Jared Goff do tonight on Monday Night Football. Another big note that I want to bring to your attention is the massive improvement in Caleb Williams' deep ball accuracy. And I want to give a huge shout out to Harrison Graham of Bears Now. And he mentioned that this is a very positive trend, is the deep ball accuracy for Caleb Williams. On 20-plus yard throws per PFF, here are his numbers this year. He's 7 for 14, so 50%, which is tied 7th in the National Football League. 240 yards, which is 4th in the National Football League. 2 passing touchdowns, which is tied 5th. PFF grade of 92.8, which is 7th. And he has 6 big-time throws in the first 3 games of this season for the Chicago Bears, which is also 5th in the National Football League. To put that in perspective, Bears fans, last year, Caleb Williams completed 27.3% of throws of 20-plus yards in the air, and that is obviously a big improvement so far this season for Caleb Williams. So definitely loving the Ben Johnson effect that he's having on the offense and the effect that he's also having on our young franchise quarterback in Caleb Williams. I would still love to see Caleb Williams hit more of the layup throws, because sometimes when the guy's right in front of him, he throw a fastball, and sometimes he gets a little bit inaccurate. So I think that's going to be the next stage of his development, and I have all the confidence in the world that Ben Johnson will get him to that point. But the deep ball accuracy is at a high level for Caleb Williams right now, and I think he's going to continue to trend upwards in regards to the big explosive plays within this Ben Johnson offense here in Chicago. But Bears fans, before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, if you did not join my stream yesterday of the live play-by-play reaction of the Bears versus Cowboys, once again, huge shout out if you were there. But if you were not there, I want to show you my candid reaction to Caleb Williams' big day against the Dallas Cowboys defense. Check this out, Bears fans. Caleb Williams dropping back. Dallas bringing pressure. He has time. He throws. He has Rome Odunze wide open, and it's going to be a touchdown, Bears. A touchdown, Rome Odunze. And Rome Odunze's hot start to the new season continues. Caleb Williams It's a flea flicker. It's a flea flicker. He's going to throw deep. Who's he going for? It's Luther Burden. Wide open. No one there. It's going to be a touchdown, Bears. A touchdown. 65 yards to Luther freaking Burden. Let's go. Let's go. Caleb Williams dropping back. He looks. Cole Kmet's wide open in the end zone. It's touchdown, Bears. Touchdown, Cole Kmet. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Good throw, Caleb. Caleb Williams driving back. He's looking. He has time. He steps up. He finds DJ Moore in the back of the end zone. It's touchdown, Bears. Let's go. Once again, Bears fans, if you were there to see my live reaction during the game yesterday against the Dallas Cowboys, huge shout out to you. And that was my candid reaction. Super pumped up about the game that Caleb Williams had. He was definitely in a zone, definitely within a rhythm. And yes, it does help when you play a defense like the Dallas Cowboys. But once again, Caleb Williams did what he was supposed to do. A couple of other notes before we move on to some other key takeaways of that big win over the Dallas Cowboys. I do want to mention, just once again, the Ben Johnson effect. The Bears, through the first 3 games of the NFL season, ranked 7th in the National Football League with 25.3 points per game. The reason why that's significant, because the Bears were 28th in the National Football League, scoring only 18.2 points per game last season. And once again, they did upgrade the offensive line, but for the most part, it's pretty similar personnel from last year from this year. So we definitely have been experiencing the Ben Johnson effect. And one last thing about the Chicago Bears offense that really redefined that game yesterday against the Cowboys and really just showed me the not really even the creativity, but the dominance that Ben Johnson has as a play caller was the 19-play drive. It was like a 19-play, 76-yard drive where the Chicago Bears took almost 10 minutes in the third quarter and scored a touchdown. And really, the Bears, and led by Ben Johnson as the coordinator and head coach, really just used his dominance on the ground game, right? There was a stint in that 19-play drive where he handed the ball off, 8 to 10 straight times, and it was working. And it was really a moment where we just really held on to that momentum and just put our stamp on that game as an offense. Once again, it does help when you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, but it was an impressive drive, and it really defined that game for the Chicago Bears and just added to the dominance that we had over the Dallas Cowboys in yesterday's win. Some other huge shout outs for that big Bears victory is the Chicago Bears defense. They had 4 takeaways, 3 interceptions, and a fumble, and also 2 sacks to add to that as well. Huge shout out to Tremaine Edmonds. He had 2 of those interceptions. Big game also for Tyreek Stevenson. He's had a really rough start to this new campaign for the Chicago Bears, but he showed up in a huge way. He is the one that stripped that football away early on in the game of Dallas Cowboys running back Javonte Williams. Really had a nice day in coverage as well. I believe Dak Prescott throwing his way only had a 39.6 quarterback rating. So it was a huge bounce back day for Tyreek Stevenson. So hopefully we could see some more consistency in regards to Stevenson, but obviously want to give him a huge shout out. Montez Sweat had a sack yesterday. Dominique Robinson had a sack yesterday. Kevin Byard had one of the interceptions as well. Overall, a really good day for the Chicago Bears defense. And then Luther Burden, 3 catches, 101 yards, and 1 receiving touchdown on that amazing flea flicker. And obviously, when you're looking back at that flea flicker, DeAndre Swift threw a terrible toss to Caleb Williams, but with just a flick of the wrist, Caleb Williams was still able to throw a dot to Luther Burden. So there were so many good things that happened in this game. Overall, I'm just happy that the Chicago Bears finally got in the win column. They are now sitting at 1-2 with a very winnable game this Sunday against the Las Vegas Raiders. Before I let you guys go on today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I do want to give you guys a couple of injury updates. Rookie tight end Colston Loveland did not return return to yesterday's win over the Dallas Cowboys at Soldier Field. He was dealing with a hip injury. Ben Johnson made it very clear that it's no long-term concerns. And in regard to that hip injury, he could be available as soon as this Sunday against the Raiders. It wouldn't surprise me if they keep him out this weekend against the Raiders, just knowing that they have that bye week, just giving some extra time to allow that hip injury to heal. But there's no long-term concerns with Colston Loveland's injury, so that's obviously good news. And then Ben Johnson also provided an update on star cornerback Jalen Johnson. He is currently on IR, out indefinitely due to that groin injury. But Ben Johnson says that he's going to get surgery on that groin injury, and saying that good news is that he could return this season. So just wanted to give you a couple of updates. Speedy recovery for both Colston Loveland and Jalen Johnson. But overall, before I let you guys go, let me know down below what your big takeaways of that big 31-14 win over the Dallas Cowboys were. I cannot wait to hear from you guys. But other than that, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification, catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. But other than that, be back for our all-new Bears podcast right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it.